Good morning, everybody. It's Connie and it's Friday morning and I am trying to get started with my day. I gotta tell you, I got a lot of stuff planned today. One of them is to help my dad put out all of his Halloween stuff in his yard. But I was just waiting for the grass to not be so wet. And so I thought, oh, perfect time to make some quick cards using stencils. You may have noticed this week the Close to My Heart is doing the Stamping Month special of making sets of cards using these card front stencils. They have a quadrant stencil, which there's two of them in here. That's why it looks so weird. But one of them is like for a standard A2 size style card. Why didn't I take that out first? I don't know. And the other one is for slimline. So when you buy these for like $12.95, you get two sets of stencils, one for each size. You wouldn't need it because, especially with this one, you've got to constantly be moving it, turning it, twisting it to make a cool pattern. I would say of them, this one is the trickier one to like replicate. Now you could just do it straight like that and it'll be just fine. And we can do that if I'm not on here for hours with the other two. I'll set it aside just in case. The other one that this one, I'm like, buy it. It's awesome. Is the stripe making stencil kit. And so you get like a thick stripe and a couple of double stripes. And I'm gonna show you how I made the background for this card today. Hi, Christy. This one has 3 different colors on it, which makes it just a little bit tricky with this double stripe. And so I thought, I'll show you how I did it. There's lots of ways to do things like that. Stencils are a really inexpensive way to make backgrounds, and you feel really artsy when you use them. It's not that they're hard, but they are time consuming. I mean, it's not like it's quick necessarily, but it is stunning. This pack I haven't even opened. This one is one that I got when the catalog first started, and this is another set in the catalog where you get a thick, a medium, and then tiny stripes, and you can do all kinds of combinations with this to make chevrons. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. So I really do need to play with that a little bit. But I wanted to show you, there's all kinds of stencils that are in the catalog that you can do, and you might find one just to play with. Now, I stencil often, and so there's just a few tools that I have that Close to My Heart doesn't sell, and I'm going to show you what they are. You don't need to have them. When you start doing it a lot, you realize, okay, yeah, it's nice to have the extra. I got out the black paper just so you could see the stencil, but I don't think you'll need it from here, so I'm going to set it aside. So you'll need some scratch paper. I have my all-purpose mat. Close to My Heart does sell that, and man, is it amazing. Now, you can stencil directly on this. You can put your piece of cardstock down and put just a little dot of glue to, like hold your piece just like that. And then you take your stencil, whichever you're going to go first. I like to do the big ones first. And you just line it up and then use washi tape or masking tape or something to hold it down and stencil. So you can totally do it this way. One thing that I have found, I hate using tape and I hate using washi tape. It drives me crazy. Even in my die cut machine, I hate using tape. So I bought this sticky mat just to try it. this one's Brutus Monroe Tailored Expressions, but you can get a lot of different kinds. As a matter of fact, if you own a Cricut, this is a Cricut mat. I'm telling you, the stick on it is identical to a Cricut mat, and you could just cut one of your old Cricut mats down and it would probably be cheaper. It really is. Like, I can't remember how much I paid for that, but it's unnecessary to have it. But I'm going to use it today because I think you'll be able to see on camera a little easier. So basically it's tacky, not tacky enough to lift it with my fingers there, but tacky enough to hold this in place and not have it fall off. You know how it is with a Cricut if you've used that at all. And then this stencil, now it's made where you can line it up exactly across the top and the edge, like here and here, and you could line it up exact and just have it be perfect like that. And that's how it's meant to be. When I did mine, I just sort of, you know, threw it on there. I think I'm going to put my card here so you can see what I did. It may not be totally in camera, but you can get an idea. But I just sort of laid it down. You know, the whole perfectionist thing is not me. I am now getting it straight is kind of important. So I look at my open areas on the stencil and I try to make sure they're all pretty straight. Now, the thing about the sticky mat is if I push down on my stencil onto the mat around it, it holds my stencil in place too, which is nice because then I don't have to use tape, which is amazing. Now, the other thing I have, which you could totally do, if you have a mouse pad or a silicone pad, I even have a silicone fingernail polish manicure thing that I got with my sticker nails for free. That totally will work to hold your stamp pad in place. This is just something I got from Simon Says Stamp one time a long time ago, and I use it to hold my drink, like a cup holder, but it really works good to hold your ink in place. While one of the issues is, especially if you're not a taper like me, I have blending brushes. You don't have to use brushes. You can use, you know, daubers and those little sponges from Tim Holtz. You can use a sponge, but the blending brushes do give you a much smoother look. It's just a nice smooth ink. So here's the problem. If I'm holding this down because I don't like to use tape, look at my ink pad moves around like crazy and I can't get ink on my brush. So if I put something under it to keep it from sliding around, see, it holds it in place. Something like that is amazing. So any silicone, anything, a baking mat, like I do, like a mug holder, or I think it actually may be something to actually hold your ink pad. I've just never used it for that until I really started stenciling a lot. So when I stencil, let me get out a little piece of scratch paper here. I like to have a little piece of scratch paper around because what you don't want is like a big blotch right in the middle of your nice line. And so sometimes if you tap it off just a little bit, and then if you start from the outer part of the stencil and come into your project, you will avoid getting like a harsh blotch right into the middle. Now this is a pretty soft color. This one is flamingo. I think I may have, I can't remember if I used flamingo or ballerina on that, but the other thing about the blending brush is you can, you decide how firmly you push. If you go really soft, you can get a super soft look and leave it, or you can push harder and get a more solid looking line. And of course, you control how much ink you are putting on. In order to, when you're doing stenciling, if you don't like these kind of harder, see how I have like kind of a harsher line at the edge of my stencil? If you don't like that, you can definitely just go a little softer and not go so much in a swirl. When you go in a swirl, it does catch your edges more, and you can just go back and forth like this. And sorry, push that back down. And you don't get quite as much of a harsh line. Now, I like a little more ink on this one, and so I'm gonna do the swirl thing, and then I get the line. Last one on this one. And then I just look at it, and it looks pretty good. Now, before, I have an old microfiber cloth that I use just for stuff like this. You can tell it's inked up. I have never washed it. I just use it and use it and use it. I don't know. Before I lift this stencil, I'm gonna wipe it off. And what that does is that ink that's on there, the only place it'll go is back onto the open areas of the stencil. I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute, and I'll wipe it again. Now, if I'm done with it for the day, I usually just take it to the sink, wash it with a little water, maybe soap. I don't worry about the staining of it. You can see it's kind of pink. The other thing you can do is you can take like your stamp cleaner and wipe it down, just to, you have to do front and back, because if you use it again with a different color, your old color will still be on that stencil if you don't clean it as you go, and you'll be like, oh, bad mistake. Okay, so I'm back here. Now, I have two colors I want to use. Now, these colors, when I ink them up, are not that different because I use such a bold rosy color. So I'm going to try to go softer on my pink rosy and a little darker on my red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up. And you can see my stencil is stained from last time I used it. No biggie. It's clean. It's just stained. It's a tool, you know? It's kind of like your stamps. It's like if they get stained, it's a bummer because, you know, you like to keep everything all neat and clean, but it's not the end of the world. All right, so on this one, I'm lining it up where I want it to be. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I try to do this the best I can. I'm pushing this down. Now, these lines right here are flimsy. You can see I can move them. It sucks if they move while you're trying to like do your blending, so you have to be a little more careful. The masking tape, it's not great. It's tacky. It's not great for holding down your stencil necessarily, but it is really great for masking that second stripe, okay? So that way you only put ink on the stripe that you want. Now, the other tool that I have close to my heart, brushes are amazing. They're a perfect size. They're like 1 inch by 1.5 maybe. I have a lot of different brands. So you saw me use this one. This one's like, I want to say this one was from Tailored Expressions. And then I have this one from Pink Fresh. These are really nice because these are really tiny. This one is the makeup sponges. You get like a whole set of different sizes. and they're like, I don't know, $5 or $6. So if you want brushes and you don't want to spend a lot of money, go to Amazon and look for the makeup brushes. One thing I've noticed is that the giant ones are harder to use. I have a couple of them, but I'm slowly replacing things with close to my heart ones and with smaller ones. So I'm going to use the small one just to show you. And we'll use the rosy ink. And again, I need my scratch paper because this is a dark, bold ink. Okay, so I'm just going to swirl some ink on my sponge, and you can see how dark that is. So I'm tapping a lot of it off, and I'm just going to go over that area. These little sponges are a little pricey, but well worth the money. I don't have one for every color, but I have, I think I have one set and I have a second set on order just because I like to have a light and a dark in each color family. So like pink, I have a light, one for lighter pinks, one for darker pinks, that kind of thing. All right, let's move our masking tape. You can see how nice that worked to block off that extra stripe. Now I'm going to move it here. Tap, tap. So Close to My Heart put out this announcement that we're not really allowed to like show competitor products anymore. So this is a competitor product, and please don't turn me in. I love Close to My Heart. I don't want to stop being a maker, but it really is like nice to know what's out there so that you can compare, you know, different things, right? Now, this last stripe, my bottom of my stencil isn't hitting the bottom of my paper, so I just want to move my stencil a little bit. It's like the stripe is a little smaller. There. Push, push, push. Okay, and then I'm just gonna mask off that second stripe again and tap, tap, tap. And I'm just gonna use a really light touch to start with and then go a little bolder. And you can see with the littler sponges, you can get blotchy areas. So it's important to kind of go back and forth a little bit to make sure that your ink is even. All right, so we're done with Rosie. Now, if you want, the other thing, I clean my brush like this. I don't put it in soap and water. Now, if you watch the Close to My Heart videos this week where they're showing how to use all of these stencils, which is amazing. It's nice that you can fast forward to the part you want to see and not have to watch all of it. I know I'm lazy that way. But you can see how much ink is still on there. I'm going to clean this off just by wiping. And then the other thing, like you can use is this. Anyway, Close to My Heart, they use a baby wipe to clean theirs. And they also, let's see, what was the other thing I was going to tell you? Their recommendations their tips are really good to watch and see. I don't do all of them. That's, I guess, what I'm really wanting to say. I don't do all of them. I'm a little bit lazy. And so when I do stamping and stuff, sometimes I just take shortcuts. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to line up that pink stripe again and put my stencil back in place. Pink Fresh, when they show their stencil, this is Candy Apple, they always use a little spritz of alcohol. They use, like, you know, like when you go to the drugstore and you get a bottle of alcohol, it cleans and dries really fast. It cleans the stencil really quick and dries. Now notice I had my pink on there. Now I have red on there. And I'm just gonna go light to start with. And remember this one, I actually want it to be a bold color. So now the other blending brush that I use for this is this one. I kind of have this one dedicated to red. See, I put red glitter tape on there. I'm going back and forth like this instead of like this because that is a real thin, almost I don't want to say flimsy, but it's such a thin piece of the stencil there that you really want to be kind of careful about moving it. It's really, you know, when you're, if you use too rough of a, you know, a brush, or you're scrubbing away, putting that ink on, you could move that part of your stencil and get a halo. So I'm going to go back and forth like that a couple times. Move this, cover the pink, do the next stripe. I'm going to tap it off just a little bit. Now, I am doing a little bit of tiny circles, but I am being a little gentle. You can see I'm not using a hard touch. So, all right. Now, you'll probably be happy to know I'm not making the whole card. I'm just showing you how to do the stripes because I have another card that I want to do. And that is another, you know, stencil project here. Now, this last stripe, remember I had to move this just a little to get it to be just right. And then push this down, and I am going to mask off the pink, the rosy, and last stripe. And I'm going to put on, remember I want this to be nice and bold. Okay, again, clean my brush. Now by doing this, I can reuse this over and over again. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Close to My Heart recommends that you clean your brush, soap and water, every time you use it. I do not do that. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure I've ever cleaned any of my brushes. I'm trying to think. I might have cleaned this red one time when I grabbed it for brown. I used it for brown and then I was like, I might clean that out of there, you know? Okay, get this off. Let's take our stencil off. Now, if you use a mat like this, a stencil mat, it's just like the Cricut where you bend your mat and pull your project away from it. It's very similar to, you know, Cricut. It really is like a Cricut mat. Anyway, so here is my background. It didn't take too long, and I was sitting here yapping the whole time. And you can see I put a little piece of black around it, and I put it onto Candy Apple Red, and I think it turned out super cute. So I think that's really neat. Yeah, Heather, so at the beginning I was kind of showing some of the tools that I like to use when I stencil. This is just stamp cleaner. You don't even have to use stamp cleaner. You can just wipe it off and reuse it. I don't always clean my stencils between colors. I just wipe them off and it seems like it works fine. The idea is to just not to spread that excess ink onto your new project. Like if I move this onto here and use it with blue, I don't want to get red ink on there. And I don't care if it's stained, I just don't want it to, you know, carry or whatever. Okay, let's do a new one. Let's do this one. So this is a Brutus Monroe sticky mat, and I bought it because I don't like to use washi tape or tape to hold my stencils down. Let's just say it. I'm lazy. And it's very much like a Cricut mat, sticky like a Cricut mat. So it holds your project in place. And you could see how hard it was for me to kind of peel that off after I had done so much pushing and all of that on it. And so, you know, hey, that is something. It works great. I think I have Cricut mats I could totally have used. If I knew when I went to buy the mats that it was like this, I would have just cut down one of my old Cricut mats. I had tons of them, and some of them aren't very sticky anymore. They'd be perfect for this. Okay, so I'm gonna do kind of a weird colored one, maybe for winter. Oh, you know what? Instead of mocha, let me grab my other color. Hold on. How about that? That's kind of wintry, right? Let me grab my blue. So, like I said, I have brushes that go for, you know, a light and a dark of every color. So before I use them, like this was used for Bluebird, and now I'm using it for a lighter blue. I just make sure it's brushed off. And you can see there might be a hair of ink on there, but not much. Okay, so I'm going to use Capri. The nice thing about the sticky mat is it holds your stencil and your project in place, so you don't have to constantly tape, retape, chat, you know. Once you move it, though, it's a little harder to stick down and put it in perfect place, so it's just something to think about. All right, so I'm going to use a really light touch with this Capri. I don't want it to be like that bold. So I am not pushing very hard, and you know, the harder you push, the more ink you're gonna transfer. And I want it to look a little more like icy. So that's this one. And sometimes, like the sticky mat holds the edges, but sometimes these center pieces, and that's true with tape too, move or whatever. So sometimes I still hold that part of the stencil down just so it doesn't, you know, give me a halo. All right, there, I got a blotch on it. You can see what I mean by the blotch. Now, before I lift, I'm gonna just do a quick swipe like that. And then I'm gonna move my stencil, and I think I'm gonna do it cross pattern. Maybe I'll use my slimline for that. Let me see if it's any longer. No, it's really not. But I'm gonna do a cross pattern using the blue. And that means, okay, that means there's an edge down here. I gotta be careful. I could just tape it, but no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm stenciling today. We're gonna do a light going back and forth. Hi, Moose. My dog came to visit. Hello, Moose. All right, light touch, just like that. And I'm not gonna go all the way down to that edge, or it'll be a hard edge right there. So I'll just put a little bit there. Now I gotta move my stencil. Just be aware, you know, when you move it, you want everything to line up as close as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're gonna cover some of the image anyway. So if you mess it up somewhere, you can always cover it up. Put stamps on it, put a different paper on it or something. Okay, so now I have this sort of almost like a gingham look. Now I could do almost anything with that, right? Let me wipe the stencil down. I forget, if I don't do it as I go, I forget which ones I have and which ones I haven't, and next thing you know, I'm making a big mess. So, all right, next stencil on the bottom of my pile is the double. Now, put the blue away, get out my pink again. I'm gonna use my little pink. Maybe I'll show you using my big pink just so you can see, like, you know, it's not the most ideal. These stencils, you know, you can turn them different ways. You can, you know, whatever you can flip them up and down, whatever. That comes into play with the, with that one that's kind of geometric. This one, if you can see that weird, geometric looking one. I don't know if you can even see it, but anyway, this one's fun because you can flip it over, you can flip it upside down, you can move it different ways to get different patterns. So there's no front, there's no back, there's no right, there's no wrong. And so you can do what you want with those. Okay, we're gonna use Desert Rose. I don't use Desert Rose a whole lot. Desert Rose is kind of a darker pink than what I had my Flamingo. It's more of a brownish. See that? A brownish pink. Okay, now I'm going to line this up again since I bumped it. Try to make it as straight as I can. Easy for me to say, but I'm going to make both stripes the same color. Now I'm going to go back and forth instead of too circular because I really don't want that center piece of my stencil to like wiggle. And you can see this long one, it's easy to flip it and move it. So you got to just be a little careful with that. This is a weird color combo. This is not one I would, if you told me you were doing this, I'd be like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do that? All right, remember this one, I'm going to have to readjust. Okay, so these stripy stencils are the Stamp Month Special. And I'm just going to move those a little bit, line it back up. And so they're like $12.95. They're very reasonable. You get both slimline and the other card front, which is great. Okay. I'll start at the bottom. I'm gonna line this up a little bit as best I can. Push it down, and then I'm gonna go the other direction. I'm using a bit of a light touch with this ink because I don't want it to be like crazy bold. And I don't want to hit the end of my stencil to get a hard edge. So, you know, you might have to rearrange your stencils a few times. There we go. Push it down again. There's so many options with these stencils, even though they're just stripes. I mean, you could do the same thing with tape. You could mask and use tape. And it would look really nice, you know? Okay. I wipe off my brush. That's me cleaning my brush. That's as clean as I get right there. Okay, and then I'm gonna clean off my stencil. And then I'm gonna pop it off. There we go. Okay, now see, this comes with a cover just like your Cricut mat. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so I have this, and then what I thought would be kind of cool is to use the little owls, Stamp the Month, on here. I just think that's beautiful. I think they're just so fun. So I can color those here in just a sec, but I want to show you a couple more things really quick, not necessarily like that I am gonna stencil more, but I want to show you what I did. So I just made a panel, and I stenciled it kind of like this one where I did a soft red, and then I did the double with the pine green, and then I went back and did a single strip of the candy apple red, and it just gave me a very Christmassy looking pattern, right? And then I thought, oh, this would be really cool, like on a scrapbook layout, if I made it longer, you know, like use it with the Home for Christmas papers, maybe make it longer. That would look really cool. Or, you know, make banners with it, or even, you know, photo mats. The other thing that would look good, I was kind of playing with these owls. Heather, I ordered your owls. I thought I had an extra set at home, but the ones I had were mine that I was going to give to you that had the die cuts, and I didn't know if you wanted the die cut, so I just kept it and ordered you a different one. So I cut that sliver off of here, and I just think it looks really cool. And then, you know, that paper from Home from the Holidays, I really like how that looks. And then we have our little, I used a marker to color them. And I'll just put those on, if I can pick them up. I'll just put those on the front of my card. This is a slimline card that I haven't folded yet. I need to do that, but anyway, so that would be a very cute little Christmas card, and it took no time to color it. And I really liked the Happy Holidays. I hadn't decided exactly how I want to trim this, if I want to do like the flag thing, or if I want to put it sideways and cut it at the top. I just haven't decided. So I will put that together. I may even put a little tiny piece of red candy apple shimmer trim in there just to get some glitter going on it. The other thing was, you know, I had that cup of cheer from last week that I just had in my pile, and wouldn't that look cool on a background like this? Just put like strips of Capri glitter. Okay. My husband's going to get gas for the mower. It's mowing day, y'all. Our grass is tall and wet right now. Okay. So I just wanted to use the stripey one today. I've been kind of messing around with the other one, and I love the pattern of it. I guess I can do one real quick. I'm sure you would rather me do this than color these to put onto this card. I can do that off camera, and I can just screenshot that onto our page. Let's just do one more. I think I have a card panel here. Just a sec. Yeah, this one has a little cut in it, but that's okay. It'll work. Let's do this funky one. This funky one, I'm telling you, it's a little more challenging than I thought it would be. I thought it would be really simple, but this one, because there's so many possibilities in how you line up your images. So let me just show you. These are the two together. These are the two apart. And at the top of each, you can kind of see that there's a hard edge, a corner on each one at the top. And so when you line up your stencils on top, or, you know, for the next image or whatever, you really want that hard edge to line up. like that. And you can do it just like that. You can move it, and you know, then it makes a totally different pattern on your cardstock. You can flip it, then it's even different, right? You can move things around. You can end up making like circles if you wanted to. I tried to make candy circles out of it, and it was just too much work. I was like, it's easier to use a circle die or a circle punch in a piece of cardstock and make a circle than it is to use these to make a circle. But these do have some really cool effects that you can do. So what colors should I use? Maybe I'll go back to my light pink and my red again, since it's here. Oh, that's not red. This is red. Duh. All right, gotta clean off my area. This is Flamingo. Getting out my pink brush. Make sure it's clean. I got my scratch paper. Looks good. I'm gonna use, I don't care which stencil, I'm just gonna start with one, and I'm gonna line up that little, the hard edge across on the top in the corner and on this side. You don't have to. Honestly, for what I have found with this one is, it's easier to kind of just eyeball it. So I'm just doing a little circle around. Now you can see I got a little darker there. That's why you would tap your ink off if you want it light everywhere. So, and you don't want to miss any spots. It's easy to miss spots. So you got to look at all your openings. Okay. Now, if I could flip it over and do the next thing in a darker pink, right? I'm holding it. I have my stamp mat working. I'm gonna use a lot of ink on this one. So it looks like a totally different color because I went so light on the first one. Now, one thing I've noticed is it's real easy to get this misaligned. If you align it up at the top, it doesn't always align. You've got to make sure it's straight at the bottom too. Or if you're like me, your OCD will drive you crazy or whatever. It'll be like, okay, this is not straight. That's annoying. So it's really important to kind of really look. I'll wipe that off. Okay. Ta-da. You can see I wiped it off while it was on my project. That's what happens. It transfers ink. There you go. And then my second one, sorry, it was like, where'd it go? I'm gonna wipe off my brush. I'm gonna put this in my pack. I'm gonna get out. Should I do rosy? Should I do a gray? I don't know. I think I might do a gray. Let me grab one. Hold on. Now, this is charcoal. It's pretty dark. When I'm going to use something really dark, I'm going to start light. That's why the whole scratch paper thing is so important. All right, so I'm just going to move this around until it lines up in a pleasing way. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like, how do I want this to look? Oh yeah, that's good. It makes like the other half of the circle. I like that. Okay, so I'm lining it up kind of here, making sure it's nice and even there, nice and even there. And then at the bottom, nice and even. So I'm looking at the circles. I don't want a wonky circle. Some of these overlap a little bit. I might put just, I can use my masking tape again for that one. I don't want to use that one. It'll overlap, but all the others look good. Okay, so I'm gonna use this lightly. I'm using a light touch. Just like that. And you can see this color is bold. And my pad is pretty inky. So, all right, I'm gonna take that off and lift this up. Ooh, that's cool. I feel like I need another something here. What do I want? I think I want that. So this is weird, but I'm only gonna do that one. There, like that. So I think that looks pretty cool. Now what if I flip it over and do something like this? And now you can really see if I lined it up wrong, you would see it. So I am making it nice and straight. So there is a very straight line right here. And I'm lining those lines up so they look right. And here, I want those to be nice and clean looking. Now I'm gonna use it dark. I don't even care how much is on there. I'm gonna darken it. It's almost gonna look black. I'm going over the openings. And I'm using, oh, geesh, give me a heart attack, Moose. Whenever people are out, like walking their dogs or something, or the neighbor is out without him, he's like, hey, I'm here, don't forget me. All right. Are you ready for that reveal? Wipe off my brush. And take off my stencil. Ooh, that's cool, you guys. Now, that's a very cool thing. Now, just imagine you could cut that down as a card front. I'd have to cut it down since I botched up the edges with my stencil. Right, and I already had like a cut in it because it was scrap that I had sitting on my table. See, I have a little cut in it, but I could totally cut that down. It would be so cute with, I don't know, anything, cupcake, birthday, you know, just a message, funky owls in weird colors. I don't know, but there's definitely some options here. Let me just trim that a minute. Give me a moment. That little cut in here has got to go. All right. So I could use it with black paper as a background. Boy, that'd be a very cool card. That is really neat. Okay, the sticky mat. Let me clean up and then we'll call it done. I have just stamp cleaner here for these, and you know, soap and water. I just throw them in the sink. It's just easier. But when you have, especially when you're totally done, I just want my stencils to be ready to use. They're fine. I could keep them just like this. The Stamp and Stick mat, having a cat, having a dog, having hair, having dirt, not being the best cleaner, you know, I just use my stamp cleaner on it. Now, you wouldn't have to, okay? And you don't want to scrubble hard. Can you, okay, picture cleaning off your Cricut mat and you want it to stay sticky, even though you want the hairs and the stuff off of it. And so I just use my lint-free rag and some cleaner. I tried just plain water and it works, but not as good as stamp cleaner. They make a special stamp cleaner for this one, but it's like, why? If you let it air dry, it's sticky. So if you just put the cover on it right now, it doesn't, you need it to air dry for a moment. See, now it's dry and it's sticky. So that's what I do. That's how I've been doing. Now there's another one on the market that my daughter bought me as a gift. I haven't even used it yet. This one's waffle flour. I haven't even opened it. I haven't even got it out, but I've seen it in videos and I told her it was kind of interesting. It kind of goes, you can use it in like your Misty or stamp positioner. And so she just bought me one. But the idea with this one is it's just silicone. It's not sticky. It's kind of like a baking sheet. That's what it reminds me of, a baking sheet. And then basically the idea is you put this in the corner and it holds it in place, right? It's like a positioner thing. And because it's silicone, it doesn't stick to it, but it keeps it from sliding, just like the, you know, this worked on the ink pads. Anything silicone, you know, will keep it from moving around. And then you would just put your stencil lined up on the edge. If you are like me and you like to play around with your stencils and move things around or whatever, you would still have to hold it in place or tape it down. So this one is more for a Misty. This one you probably have in your stash today because it's even the same thickness. It's everything. I should just get out my Cricut mat and show you, because it really is the same. And this one I just haven't even tried yet. So yeah, if any of you want to play, Annette or anybody local, come on over. We can stencil and try all the different products. I don't know how I'm going to store this thing. I'm not sure how much I'll use this one yet. We'll see. It was a gift. I'm not going to say no to a gift, right? All right. So there is our fun stenciling for the day, and I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing how those work. These are the specials, $12.95. Cool. This brown mat is called an all-purpose mat, and I know it's weird, but I cut mine in half. It's actually double the size because if I raise up, my table is huge, and so if you picture it double size, you know, it took my whole table, and I just thought I just needed a smaller workspace, so I cut mine in half, and I have the other half for when this one gets janky, if it ever does. So cool. And what's great about this is, oh my gosh, you can put anything on this mat and then it just, look, wipes off. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. I do a lot of inking techniques and stuff. Every now and then I use my stamp cleaner on here, but I don't know why I do. I just keep thinking it'll look cleaner longer, because sometimes they get stained when you use a lot of like distress inks and stuff. But they're fun. They're really fun. So, all right. Have a fun day. I am off to do yard work and help my dad put out all of his Halloween stuff in his front yard. That will take me, I'm not kidding, until dark. And then he wants me to sell some of his Christmas stuff. So we are going to be putting together some of this stuff for the yard for Christmas today. He's got a giant merry-go-round that takes a couple hours to put together. But I have to put it together in order to take pictures of it to sell it. So, cry me a river, right? Wah, wah. So, all right. Bigger or sturdier than Ranger? This mat? Is this one? I think it's identical. I have the Ranger one. It's identical. It's probably made by the same company. That's my guess. So, okay. Have a fabulous day, everybody. Enjoy this cool weather. I love it. All right. Bye-bye.